How are you, man, since yesterday?
Oh man, I'm still decompressing after all that energy I had after talking to the guests yesterday. It was something else, and like we say, you learn so much from our guests and tonight's going to be no different. I mean, this one I'm particularly excited about. So
Yeah, it's
ready
a
to get
big
it
night.
on.
Yeah, there's a last night, man. I was thinking about what Chris Nick said, the guitarist,
Yeah,
and it stuck with me. Relying on the music, whether it's the music that you're relying on or relying on yourself as an athlete.
yeah.
Whatever your profession is or what you're doing, you're relying on that. So there's a pitcher that many people have relied on for a very long time. Ace from Alabama, now pro player for AU, which we follow and we love. Shout out to Sid, by the way, who also Sid McKinney plays the organization. There's a lot of things going on. They're just this player, so many accolades and just a superstar in her own right, and then just continues to rise in the ranks. Part of history right now. So without wasting any more time, I want to get down to it and bring on the one and only Sydney Littlejohn. Sydney, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank y'all so much for having me on. I'm honored to be on here and excited to talk some softball with y'all.
Love it. We should say congratulations, Sydney Watkins. We're just so used to the Littlejohn thing. We'll get used to it, we promise.
He's used to it. I mean, he's been called Mr. Littlejohn before, so he gets it. So
I got you. Well, thank you again for having us or letting us showcase you. We're going to start the episode off. Dane's got a few questions tonight. Yep. We'll bounce back and forth. So Dane, go ahead, man.
Like we were kind of started off you're obviously a superstar in the world of softball. You're known pretty much worldwide, I would say, by now. I was just want to know, kind of going back long ago, when did all this journey start in softball? At what age did you start picking up a ball? Not so much in the circle, but just in general.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. I am flattered to be thought of in such high ranks. But, it started for me probably, I played T-ball, so, around 4 or 5. And, I was lucky enough to have a childhood where I got to do everything. We were in a small town, so my parents were like, look, whatever we can do to get you out of this house, we're going to put you in. Because I had a lot of energy. So, I was doing summer camp, swimming, twirling, softball, volleyball, just everything in the book. So I would say I started with it, whenever you normally start sports. So around 4 or 5, and then really got into it, especially whenever I started pitching. I didn't start pitching until I was 12. So I was late to the game in that regard. But so that's kind of how it went.
So 12. So I think of that age group, and Dane, Sid started pitching. Your Sid, there's a lot of Sids tonight, right? Yeah. Your Sid was 9. Is that when your Sid started pitching? Dane?
Yeah, she actually started about a month after her 8U days were over. So she started a little bit earlier. She loves every minute of it, though.
You can't get enough of it. So I think about Sydney, the multi-sport, right? And that's something we've seen, and not that it requires that, but a lot of these top tier athletes like yourself, world renowned, that is not an exaggeration. They have done a lot of different sports, right? And that's kind of like honing your craft. What made you say, hey, I'm all in with softball? Among all the sports you played, what made you say softball is my game and I'm sticking with that,
Yeah. So at that time where I had to make that decision, I was really into softball, cheerleading, and volleyball. And, thinking back to that time, I was getting around age like 13, 14, and it was the thoughts of like, what is something that I can't imagine my future without? And what is something that I just, no matter what, I want to practice? Like, I enjoy going to practice. I, get out of my comfort zone, which of course, at like 12, 13, you're not necessarily thinking about comfort zones, but like, where am I introduced to more people? Because I was not very social at that time. And so I struggled making friends. So it was like, where do I fit in the most? Where am I most accepted? And for me, that was the softball field. I was no offense to cheerleading, but I was way too large of a human at that point to be a cheerleader. And then volleyball, I was good at volleyball, but just didn't have the same love for it that I did with softball. So that's kind of what went into that decision. And I had just started pitching really and fell in love with it and wanted to keep pursuing that. And so my parents, understandably were like, okay, look, if you're going to be doing pitching lessons, hitting lessons, you can't be doing all this volleyball and cheerleading stuff. Like, it's expensive and it's time consuming. So
I love it. So it's a combination of mom and dad's like, pick a sport, pick a lane, friends, the package. And we think about that with our girls too, because we range from 8U to 18U. Yeah. And it's like, pick a lane and you get that spot where, hey, you could do 5 different sports and be good at it, or you could be the rock star at one. So thank you, mom and pops, for pushing Sydney in that direction. Thank you. We got to see a lot of epic games and all that. And she's pretty decent at it, mom and dad. So thank you. So I appreciate that. So kind of the 12U, and did you along the lines of playing with other sports, did it trickle out eventually? We're like, I know we did. Our kids sometimes do rec stuff. Or at what point did you go all in and only softball?
I would say I started going all in on it probably my sophomore year of high school. And, I know that's also still kind of late, but at that time I had been playing travel ball for a couple of years, and I actually started getting noticed by some smaller schools. And so, my original goal was just to make the varsity softball team. And so I was like, college, what's college? Why are we thinking about this? And so then, it started being conversations with my parents about like, hey, is this something you would like to play past high school? And of course, being a kid at that time, I was like, yeah, like I enjoy playing this game. Yeah, I want to play in college. I didn't understand the entirety of that. But as I got older, I began to understand that, still through later in high school. But I had a pitcher before me in high school who was committed to go play at UTA, which is University of Texas at Arlington. So I was used to watching her and being inspired by her. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, like I would like to play in college. And then that also for me, it was like, no offense, I love where I'm from. I love that small town. And but it was like, I know there's more to life than this. Like, I want to go out and experience the world. So what's going to be my avenue to do that?
Right.
And so that's where I really committed to softball and was like, okay, let's do it.
I love that. Dan, go ahead, Dan, because I could go on.
I was just saying the inspiration you had from the UTA player. It's something that you mentioned. I kind of get a chuckle out of it because we've interviewed one of their coaches, Joe Coons, a great program out there, and she's a great coach. Which kind of leads me actually to the next question. You said that you were inspired by that player. Are there any other influences that helped you go along in your career to kind of help you, pattern your game after? What are some of those influences that you had in your life in the softball realm?
There's a lot, and a lot of them are non-softball too. But, of course, I was a Jenny Finch girl. Like, I remember my parents told me I was going to a Jenny Finch camp whenever I was younger, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. Like, this is the best thing ever.
It's awesome.
So I was really inspired by her, and I loved like watching the Arizona pitchers because I like Taryn Mowat as well. And I was a really big Stacey Nelson fan who's at Florida. I fell in love with her hair first, and then I was like, I want to look like her on the mound. Like, she has beautiful hair, she's a beautiful pitcher. Like, I want to look like her. And so seeing those women on TV and seeing them as presented, and a lot of them were taller women. I was tall, awkward, lanky. And so for me, it was having that experience of like, hey, they look like me, and they're talking about stories that are similar to what I'm going through. They're like, oh, whenever I was younger, like I never had a boyfriend because I was taller than all the boys, like the simple, stupid stuff like that. But I was like, hey, like I'm going through that. Like, they know what I'm going through. And so it provided that connection for me. And
relatable.
Yes. And so, I know college softball was not near as big during that time, but even the amount that it was on TV, I mean, I was locked in. And even watching pitchers like Amanda Scarborough, going to Texas A&M games, going to UT games, watching Kat Osterman, watching Blair Luna, and all of them, it was just such an inspiration to see that, there were girls out there who felt the same way I did. Because I'm not afraid to admit, I'm awkward. I don't fit in every single crowd, and I'm okay with that. And it was just nice to see that, like, hey, you're not the only one going through that.
I think it's neat, Sydney, and you're part of history. Dana and I talked about this when we were blessed to come up with this concept we always have from day one have felt female athletics deserve the same love and respect that male athletics do. And we're passionate about that. If you look at our feeds and what we do, it's typically female sport driven. And to know that you're part of history, like you look at what you're doing with AU, obviously just a marquee name at Alabama, it's there. And then just this uproar, they said, we were talking about this, the Women's College World Series, it was trending as high as March Madness. You know what I'm saying? It's like finally, that's how it should have been years ago. So you're part of that cusp of people look at you now when you talk about the Kat Ostermans and the Jenny Finches, and we could even talk about the Scarboroughs and even Valdez, Olympic players. Now we're talking about Sydney Watkins, like in the same breath. Isn't that cool to know that you're part of that same movement,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm definitely like starstruck about it.
Yeah. That's you.
Yeah. Someone will walk up to me and they'll be like, oh, I know who you are. And I'm like, do you? I don't who are you? So it's really
a comment.
Cool. It's so surreal.
Yeah, it's neat. And we always say, Dan and I really talk about this. We've been blessed to talk to a lot of amazing athletes, and the ones like yourself, and I'm not just trying to do this pandering thing, the most successful like yourself are the most down to earth. And thank you for that. We appreciate it. So as we transition to the next one, obviously the brand is the Sydney Watkins. Thank you, Mr. Littlejohn. I'm gonna get that right. Sydney Watkins, as the brand increases. What's next for you? I know with your camps that you do and training, and obviously with AU, you got a lot going on. What's the next 12 months looking like for you?
Yeah, after Athletes Unlimited, which hopefully praying it's a great season. Hopefully there's no injuries, no bad juju. Hopefully it all goes well. The week I go back, it's football season, and to some people they're like, why does that matter? Well, to me, that's my life. It does. Because my husband is a football coach. So I will be trucking on down back to Gainesville for the first game of the season. Now it's at Utah, but it's still, we're going to get home. I'll be with all the coaches' wives to watch the game, kind of decompress for a little bit. And then that next week I go back to work. So, I'm the campus dietitian at the University of Florida. So I'll get back to all of my students, all 50,000 of them, and get started with events and everything else. And, kind of enjoy football season, be there for my husband, be a supportive coach's wife, and be as present as I can. And then, after bowl season, which I will say, I do train during football season. I just don't throw necessarily. Like I'll do more armchair, Pilates, a lot of strength building, cardio building. And then, we get to Christmas, and that's where I really rev up again. So, again, hoping all goes well and that I get to come back for another season next year at AU. But that's January is where I really hit it hard with throwing. I try to throw 3 times a week. I have the strength coaches catch me. I have my husband catch me. Bless him that he has to be put through that. Because my bullpens are not traditional bullpens. They are not the ones where you go through and you're like, oh yeah, she's a professional pitcher. Like you come to my bullpen and you're like, have you ever thrown a ball a day in your life? Because I set up all these obstacles and I try to get as close as possible to hitting it without hitting it. And so I'm playing pinball. So, bless all of them for being able to catch me and deal with me. And then, we get through the spring again. I'm still working and training, and then we get to summer and here we go again.
No days off, right? No days off.
No,
right?
absolutely not.
Shout out to your husband, Dana. Shout out to your husband.
Yeah. So I'm sure Josh can attest to this too. His daughter's a pitcher. We've taken quite a few balls off the legs and ankles and chest. So
my husband, he learned to wear a face mask real quick because I was in my warm-up drills one day, and I was not, for all the listeners, I was not throwing hard. I was literally just starting my warm-up drills.
She's like, let me get my alibi.
Yes, and I mean, Coach Billy Napier is my witness. He saw this, but ball, it was like I was doing K drill. So I mean, it's very not routine. Hard. And a ball, the seam just cut him just right. Got him right in between his eyebrows. He had to get 7 stitches. Luckily, the team doctor was there, so he could just walk right in. And I was just like,
love hurts.
I was like, this is, and walking by like all the players and stuff, they looked at me like I just like killed their puppy or something. I was like, he was not wearing a face mask. Like,
I love that.
Place the blame.
It's I think it was in your guys' vows, right? You must catch 100 pitches a day.
Yes, absolutely. So, I will follow you anywhere as long as you also deal with me.
And I'll say this.
I was just saying, what is a typical number of pitches you'll throw in a session, or is it just kind of depend on the work that you're trying to get accomplished that session?
Yeah, it comes with the daily load that I have, and also too just the time, because I will say it is hard working in those training sessions while also working a full 8 to 5 job. So I end up doing 3 a days, and not because of like, oh, it's not one of those, I'm like, I'm so prideful, like, yeah, I'm training 3 times a day. It's like, no, that's what I have time for. So in the mornings I'll go to Pilates, and then I go to work, and then on my lunch break I'll either throw or lift, and then after work, while I'm waiting on my husband to finish up practice, that's whenever I'll throw or lift depending on the rotation. So on days where I'm not lifting, I may throw hour 15 minutes, and depending on I do a lot of spinning drills and things like that. So I don't count those as full pitches. So, most of the time in a bullpen, I'm probably not throwing more than 60, 70, 80 pitches.
That's awesome.
And then on my lighter days, it's more spin drills and probably staying around 50. I try to honor my body in that way.
Yeah.
And, I will say I did throw to some football players last week, and I threw like 60 pitches. And so that was just the amount of pitches that I threw to them, but I threw for about an hour before that. So it just depends on the load that day.
I got you. Yeah. So always ready to go to work. I love that. Even when there's a day off, it's like, that's part of who you are. And I think we talk about the athletes we work with too, not on the scale yet as they get older, but you're always ready to go to work no matter what it is. Right. And you're helping with the football side or K's, like you said, just routine. It's neat to see your constant dedication. No wonder obviously great personality, already one of my favorite interviews, Dane, but like the way you talk about your game, how much you love it, it's your baby. Like you can tell it's an extension of who you are. Like you are softball, right? It's in those like the logo. So it's cool to see. There's a segment that we do, Sydney. I'm hoping in the interviews you've done, we really try to take a little bit of time and make you laugh and set something apart that maybe you haven't had before in previous interviews. Okay. So there's a little segment that we do called Rapid Fire. I told you I wasn't going to tell you about it. Remember that?
Yes.
So me and Dane bet on this. Like I said, we try to take a little segment. We like to break down sabermetrics and stats and pitch counts, and we love all that. And we're very big on statisticians and all that. But we like to take a moment and imagine our fans give us some really, really weird questions. It's awesome. We love them. They're always PG, but it's weird. Like it's deepest, darkest parts of the internet weird. And you got to like spit it out. Like this is what I'm going with, one or the other. Catch you off guard. So Dane and I bet on these. The winner gets lunch provided by the loser every episode.
I've got a lot of ground to make up. So
Dane. You ready, Dane?
I'm hoping. I'm ready.
So first one. So you know how you growing up, Sid, in the dugouts, you were part of this. Halloween bashes, things like that. You guys do a lot of, growing up, we would decorate the dugouts as, 12U, 14U. I'm sure you guys did that too. You're asked for AU, like you show up and you have to decorate AU dugout for a Hollow Scream type tournament. You have 2 themes that you can go with. Grown women, you got to do this, okay? You're going with the theme of, and you got to pitch in this, got to do the whole thing. You're going with costumes from the Hunger Games or the Matrix. How are you guys doing your dugout? And you're in charge of it.
Oh, I know more about the Hunger Games, so I want to say the Hunger Games, but I could go crazier with the Matrix, but I do have to go with Hunger Games. Now, I will say, if it was up to me, I would, if I got to choose my own, I would go Hocus Pocus.
Okay. That's fine. I love it. You're already kind of throwing an audible. You're already doing I love it. So wasn't even on the play. Okay. So I had Hunger Games. And what'd you have? Did you have that one?
I had Hunger Games. Oh yeah.
I could see old Katniss out there on the mound just tearing it up. So I had to Katniss. so next one. A lot of athletes these days get called to do movie roles, right? So and then I love it. I've taken my kids to every one of them, and I think I enjoy more than they do. I love the past 10 years of live action Disney remakes, right? I love it. So you're asked to be in the next live action of these 2 movies, and you got to pick one. Sid, you're starring. Okay. Are you going with, you're going to be the live action version of The Incredibles or the live action version of Moana? Which one are we going with?
This is going to tell my age, but I got to go The Incredibles because that was me. That was me growing up.
2 for 2. Dane, what you got? I'm on a roll.
I had the Moana one.
Oh. 1 for 1. Okay. All right. Yep. All right. But, Dane, I could tell you Dane's age. It was during the time when Nickelodeon first came. No, I'm kidding. So Dane's like, what's Nickelodeon? What is that? No, I'm kidding. So the next one. So again, random, metaverse, anything's possible. Okay. A lot of pitching elements. You lost a bet and you have to, you're at you're commentating at the Women's College World Series. You and Tori we're friends with. So you're commentating. They ask you to come out. You have to do a pitching demonstration in front of everybody. You have two objects that you have to pitch with. In one hand, you can choose to pitch with a watermelon, or the right hand, you can choose to pitch with a basketball. You got to make this work. Which one are we going with?
I would do basketball.
Got it. Woo! I'm 3 for 3, Dan. I'm killing it. How about you, man?
Yeah, I got the basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
Basketball's a little bit of what could be themes, So
yeah. Got you. Okay. Got you. So next one, press conference. A lot of themes around press and conference things for you and just stuff like that. So you're required to do a press conference after winning a championship. We're going to say it could be Women's College World Series, it could be with AU, you pick it. And you have to stand up and give your entire award speech ceremony using these two songs. You have to pick one. You have to say just the words from these songs, okay? Either one, you got to quote the lyrics to Lamb Chops, or B, the Barney I Love You theme song. And that's it. And you just got to say it and drop the mic and walk off stage. Which one are you going with?
Lamb Chops.
I am 4 for 4, Dane. I'm 4 for 4, Dane. Let's go, man. So what'd you have, Dane?
I had the Barney.
You did?
That's how old I am.
See, I'm a dietitian, so of course I'm going to go with the food. So.
I love it. Love it. So last one. Okay, this is I keep hoping somebody will do this for me. It hasn't happened yet. I asked my kids, and they won't do it. So you get obviously in the world of softball, you get to take one of these two celebrities and follow behind you for the entire day. Whenever you walk in a room, they go, announcing Sydney Watkins. They just say your name everywhere you go, like the bank, anywhere you go. Please give it up for Sydney Watkins. Your two celebrities you're going to choose from is either Beyonce or Rihanna. Who's introducing you for the entire day?
Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. That one's hard.
Let me see if she gets what I picked. Dane, you know what I picked, Dane? Yeah.
I'm going to have to say Beyonce just because she's from Texas.
Yes, let's go. I'm 5 for 5. Yeah. I love it. Thank you. 5 for 5, Dane. Did you have that last one, Dane?
No, I had 2 for 5.
Got you. I struck you out, Dane. So let's go. So I'll take my lunch. Pronto pups, please. Let's go. So, right. But no, Sydney, thank you. That's just a little segment we do. Hopefully to set it apart, just a little rapid fire thing that maybe you haven't had in previous interviews, just to give you a little flair. So I'm going to pass it back to Dane for that last one. Yeah. Thanks for playing.
Yes. Yeah, Sydney, on this final segment, we call it open mic. We open up the floor to our guests to, kind of tell our younger listeners a philosophy or a mantra they've carried through their careers. For you, your still active career in the softball world, that kind of helped you through, either tough times or kept you going to that next level, something that somebody's told you or that you've learned through the years. Is there something that you've carried with you through these years that you can kind of maybe pass on to this next generation of softballers coming up that look up to you?
That's good.
Yeah, it's so broad, so I feel like I could go in so many different directions. But
please do.
Especially as a pitcher and someone like coming into themselves. I mean, I would just say 2 things: is be vulnerable, because as a pitcher, as a teammate, that makes you a better teammate. Because if you can be transparent, if you can be open with your team members, like, one, that's going to really open up that trust, and they're going to trust you a lot more, and it's just going to make you a better teammate. And that goes off the field too, and being vulnerable is something that's hard. It gets people out of their comfort zones. But once you start to do that, you'll see your team members around you start to do that. And that's where you really build and foster relationships, and ones that last beyond the field. And so definitely being vulnerable. And then the second one would just be unapologetically yourself.
That's good.
And the reason I say that is, a lot of softball players, especially pitchers, like, we're all weird. We all have something that's different. We're all quirky. We're all, we got
great.
All of those things. And so, the more that you are able to be comfortable in your own skin, not just talking body image, but just in who you are, it helps you be vulnerable, and it helps, again, build that relationship with your team. Because, if you're people nowadays, especially, like, they're going to know if you're being fake. They're going to know if you're holding something back. And so whenever you're unapologetically, if I can even say the word, yourself, it opens you up for your team to experience who you are. And literally no one else can be you. Whenever you're comparing yourself to somebody else, that somebody else is probably also comparing themselves to somebody else. So who's going to be you other than you?
That's so good. I think Dane, Sid, there's this mindset, and we love all sports. Trust me, we do. But we've always been so gravitated, and we're blessed that our daughters have enjoyed softball. I think every sport has a piece of this, but there's such a celebration of being unique in softball. You need all types of body types. You need all heights. You need different weight classes. It's something that is very, very rare to see such a difference of bodies celebrated, right? And that's what softball is. You need sometimes those power hitters that maybe, and then you have the leaner, maybe third baseman. And like, I think that's neat that this is how it's supposed to be, celebrating you for who you are. And that's what's always drawn Dane and I to when we coach softball and our wives do it. We love the fact that you can be yourself and not only be appreciated, but be celebrated for being yourself. So Sid, you said it, you should probably make a book out of that title, Sid, because that was perfect the way you said it.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Dane, do you have anything to add to that? Because that's a mic.
No, I mean, just one of those things where you like to hear people say that, because like you say, all these girls, especially at the ages that we see and we coach, and Josh and I do play-by-play, they're so impressionable. They can go this way or they can go another way depending on who's around them. And that's a great message to say, no, just be who you are. I always tell my daughter, if you do something great, people are going to come to you. You don't have to be compromised what you are and what you do to fit in. Just be who you are and they'll come to you. So that's a great message to have for the kids and coming up. So I thank you for that message.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're honored, Sid, to have you do this. And it is a role model. Dane and I always say this sport is in good hands. Role models like you. And I know it sounds like I'm just gushing, but it's the facts. We need people like you in the sport. So please play till you're like 60, please, and then coach and make that happen. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and have you figure out some type of sports medicine where you can play into your 60s and all that. So
can you work on that for us? I'll do what I can. I will do what I can to make it work. I
love it. Well, Sydney, I hope you know, as Dane and I say, because the sport is in great hands. It is an honor. It's a bucket list for us. We watch probably 400 softball games a month. This is what we do. And it's one of those, like the Mount Rushmores of and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay knowing that you are. I'm up there, right? So you, the Catherine Sandercocks, I mean, of the current generation, of course, the Geordies. This is the Mount Rushmore of active players, right? So thank you for being willing to do this, and we cheer you on. We watch AU all the time, so we'll be texting you during the games, and that crazy guy's texting me during the game. Congratulations, that's me. So I'm just kidding, I won't do that. But Sid, please consider coming back in the future. We'd love to have you back on, maybe to break down the after season, and let's make sure we stay in touch and do this again if you're open to it. Okay, so.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. And thank y'all so much again for having me
on
and letting me speak.
Of course. Well, Sydney, we will make sure that we do stay in touch. Thank you for your time on behalf of you and the family. Good luck on the year season and the football season. And we'll make sure we stay in touch. Okay. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Thank you. Yep. You're welcome to drop off. Thanks, guys. So Dana, I'm telling you, as cool as they come, like just relax and just knows who she is, and when you know you're a top performer like that and an elite pitcher, but she's also not bragging about it. It's a humble quietness. She lets her personality do more talking than the game, which I love. What'd you think of her, man?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, unapologetically you. I mean, that's a shirt, a tagline, anything.
It's a tattoo. I got some room right there. Yeah. That's awesome.
Everybody needs a reminder of that, no matter what age you are. You go in every situation of life and you think, well, maybe I should change this, or I need to fit in here. No, you don't. You just be yourself, and people will care for you and love you. So,
that was awesome.
Somebody that comes in like that has accomplished so much and is still climbing the ladder too. So, we haven't even seen the best of her yet. I'm gathering, so I can't wait to watch her this year.
We got a big old bucket, Dan. We keep doing this bucket list, and we got to keep making our bucket bigger. I got it's the gallon list. We're gonna call it that. So, can somebody hashtag the gallon list for us? Because it's no longer a bucket. We filled that up, And now we got her, and then to the nightcap, Dane. So to end the night. So thank you, Sid. Thank you, Coach Watkins, for letting us kind of just joke around a little bit. The nightcap, Dane. You're gonna love this. So Vin Johns, American Ninja Warrior, Pro Bowl rider, certified bad dude, PG show, certified bad guy, like in a good way, right? Just does it all. A trainer. I think he's about 0.0 0.00001% body fat. He could probably crush a watermelon with his bicep, does that kind of stuff.
Beast.
A beast among men. So he's coming on to do the nightcap tonight and talk about getting motivated. So y'all better get your cardio on before we go on to the next episode. We'll be back.
Do some push-ups, run around the block.
Come back sweating. So on behalf of Sydney, thank you, Sydney, and Sydney, Dane. So it's like so many Sydneys tonight, So on behalf of Dane and Josh, so don't forget always that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.